It was the first day of spring semester at Willow Creek High, a place where popularity was a currency and cruelty was the language many students spoke fluently. The long hallways echoed with chatter, laughter, and the occasional sound of lockers slamming. New students always stood out like fresh prey dropped into the middle of wolves, and that morning was no different. Among the crowd walked a girl who seemed both invisible and unforgettable at the same time. Her name was Emily Carter. Emily wasn't flashy. She wasn't dressed like the trendy girls who flaunted designer bags or cropped jackets. She wore a simple white shirt, slightly oversized, tucked neatly into faded jeans, and carried a backpack that had clearly seen better days. Her blonde hair was tied back into a plain ponytail, no fancy curls, no glitter. She walked with her head slightly lowered, gripping the strap of her backpack as though it was her shield. To most eyes, she looked like the perfect target. Quiet, unassuming, easy to ridicule. But what nobody knew was that Emily wasn't ordinary. She had spent her childhood far away from big cities and crowded schools. Her father was a retired military officer, her mother a martial arts instructor. While other kids learned to ride bikes and play video games, Emily spent countless hours on wooden floors, practicing punches, kicks, and wrist locks until her muscles burned. She knew what it felt like to be thrown to the ground and what it took to rise again, stronger each time. Her parents didn't raise her to fight without reason, but to defend herself when cruelty crossed the line. That hidden side of Emily was a storm waiting in silence. Her first day went fairly quietly until lunch. The cafeteria, the kingdom of social hierarchy, was where everything shifted. Emily carried her tray, searching for a place to sit. She wasn't expecting to make friends instantly, but she hoped for a corner where she could quietly eat. As she moved past a crowded table, a voice cut through the noise. Well, look who we have here. The new girl. Emily turned her head. Standing in front of her was Jason Miller, the self-proclaimed king of the school bullies. Tall, broad-shouldered, with a smirk that screamed arrogance, Jason was surrounded by his usual crew. Tom, Ricky, and Jenna, the kind of people who thrived on tearing others down. Jason stepped closer, blocking Emily's path. "What's your name, Barbie doll?" he sneered. Emily gave him a calm look. "Emily. That's cute." Jason chuckled, glancing at his friends. "You hear that? Emily. Sounds like a name for someone who should be twirling palms, not wandering around here like a lost puppy." The table behind them erupted in laughter. Emily tightened her grip on her tray but said nothing. She had learned long ago that silence could disarm people more than words, but Jason wasn't someone who accepted silence. He thrived on reactions. "Tell you what," Jason said, leaning closer, "let's give you a proper welcome." And with one sudden movement, he reached out and yanked her ponytail so hard that her head jerked back. The cafeteria went dead silent. Trays paused mid-air, conversations cut short, and all eyes turned to the scene. Emily's heart raced for a split second, not from fear, but from the memories that surged inside her. Years of training, years of discipline, years of being told by her mother never start a fight, but always finish it if it comes to you. Jason laughed, expecting tears, anger, or at least a whimper. Instead, Emily straightened, her eyes burning like steel. Slowly she set her tray down on the nearest table, her every movement deliberate and controlled. "What are you gonna do, new girl?" Jason mocked, still gripping a lock of her hair. "Cry? Run away? Or maybe beg us to stop?" The next few seconds changed everything. Emily's hand shot up, lightning fast, and grabbed Jason's wrist. With one swift twist, precise, controlled, and backed by years of training, she rotated his arm in a direction it was never meant to go. A sickening crack echoed through the cafeteria as Jason screamed in agony, his cocky smirk replaced with pure shock. He fell to his knees, clutching his arm, his eyes wide with disbelief. The room exploded. Gasps, shouts, the scraping of chairs as students stood to get a better look. Jason, the untouchable bully, the boy who ruled the hallways, was now groaning on the floor while the new girl stood over him, her face calm, unshaken. Emily leaned down slightly, her voice low but cutting through the chaos. "Never touch me again," Jason whimpered, sweat dripping from his forehead. His friends stood frozen, unsure whether to jump in or back away. Ricky muttered under his breath, "Dude, she just broke your arm." Jenna, usually the loudest of them all, was speechless, her mouth hanging open. Emily picked up her tray again as though nothing had happened, her eyes scanning the room. Some students looked terrified, others looked impressed, and a few looked like they had just witnessed a hero rise in real life. Without another word, she walked to an empty table and sat down, calmly taking a bite of her sandwich. But the storm was only beginning. Within minutes, teachers rushed in, pulling Jason away to the nurse's office as he cried out in pain. The bullies whispered angrily, already plotting revenge. The entire school buzzed with the story. The new girl broke Jason's arm with one move. In front of everyone, Emily knew this wasn't over. She had exposed her strength, and people like Jason didn't forgive humiliation. They lived for dominance, and she had ripped it away from him in front of his kingdom. What would come next would test not only her skills but her heart, her patience, and her ability to hold on to the principles her parents taught her. Because bullies never stop at one defeat. They always come back, stronger, meaner, more desperate. And when they did, Emily would be ready.